for the business, all the sensitive data and all of that it is required. So basically the value it is neither in the business process or nor in the IT, but it is the data. So now you have to see how you can utilize the data by improving your own business processes and bringing the efficiency and reducing the errors and adopting the best practices and models and methodologies. This is how I think should be an approach as a head of IT. So here, as you can see in the agenda, explore and analyze information controlled world. And this is what I will be talking, how the information is given and all of that. And again, IT and business perspectives, what IT they think, what business they think, and there is a gap. And he was saying also in the previous presentation, like Mr. Basim, that there is a gap and we need to see how we can mitigate that particular gap, how we can improve and how we can solve those problems. Because we cannot talk about the cloud, we cannot talk about the big data in the presence of the problems. You have a lot of problems need to be solved, so we cannot talk about the transformation unless we fix those problems and things like this. So it's a mixed approach, you can see. And Gartner came up last year, I think in October 24th or sometime. Nexus of forces. They talk about the cloud, big data, and they call social technologies and mobility, which is nothing but every individual right now in this particular hall. You have the mobile phones and you have kind of tablets and all those devices. They are connected. So we are talking about a connected world. And value. So I'll be talking about the big data stuff in the next slides. So starting from the CIO's perspective, you as a head of the government, you as a responsible citizen, you are delivering certain valued services to your citizens, to your responsible citizens. So an information is given. An information is given for us as a head of IT or as a CIO to take certain actions. There is no use of information without actions is being taken. So you have done a great planning, but the execution part is missing, which the previous presenter was talking about. So execution is important, but also the planning is more important as well. So having a good plan in place and not executing, it doesn't mean that the planning was bad. And having the bad planning and you are delivering a good execution, but still they cannot complement. So you have to have that kind of proportionality and where you can rationalize your approach so that you can deliver the value and you can deliver the objectives and whatever you are focusing on. So in the real scenario, as I was saying last year in Jeddah, in front of the mayor, Dr. Arwa, she was there also in one of the conference. And I was giving the example of Red Sea. We have a sea water. So water is there. Once somebody talk about the water, we think it's for the consumption and it's for drinking. But actually, that water cannot be swallowed. We cannot swallow that water because it's a salty water. It is unhygienic. So we need a refinement or a process has to happen where I don't know what are the terms for water cleansing. So there is hardening and there is a pH value and there are things like that. So there is distillation process is happening so that we can drink that particular water. So an information is given that so information is nothing but it's a raw data. So last year we were having some statistical information on the big data that the whole world is about 80 to 85% of the data which is available, that is like raw data. And between 10 to 15% that is the cleansed data where the decisions can be made, where the value we can deliver or derive. So in the real world or from the project management perspective, we have, if you see all the knowledge areas, there is an input and there is a tools and techniques we apply and there is an output is given from the project management and knowledge areas. And that output is again an input for the other knowledge area. So what we are saying here, the data is there, and that data, the raw data is an input. So that input needs some action. So in the second one, which I will, so here action. So you have to take an action. So action is nothing but we are doing a computation. We are talking about applying tools and techniques, certain methodologies, certain process implementation or process optimization through Six Sigma, through ISO or whatever. And then to deliver an intelligent data or a structured data or it's an output or it is the data for the transformation or it is a data to deliver the value. Deliver the value to the process, deliver value to the project, deliver value to the program or deliver value to the citizen or deliver value to your stakeholder and so on. So if you see, we are living in an information world and compute and control. You are computing, you are analyzing, you are relating the data to deliver the value. And then we are talking about the knowledge world where the knowledge comes. Now I become knowledgeable to take certain action. If I am not taking action, that means I am not knowledgeable. And mostly the emphasis is given as a chief information officer. Information is there. How good we are acting on the information which is given. Are we applying all those computation or methodologies or process optimization techniques and all of that which has been shown in the last presentation or which is available as a part of the project management methodologies or Six Sigma process or ISO standards, or you talk about the service level ITISL, ITIL, and so you as an information officer, you have to be really act on the information. Today, the information, we are in the third phase, and IDC, they claim that we are in the third generation. We started with the first generation where we talk about the client server environment where we have the mainframes and so on, and then we came to the client server as a second stage, and now we are in the third stage, third platform, which is the cloud, big data, and so on. Earlier, the data center used to be like a building with a small volume of the hard disk with very minimal computational power. Today, this mobile phone which you have, smartphone, that is as powerful as the Neil Armstrong when he went to the space. So he used the supercomputer, and this is some number of times it is more stronger. So the computational power, that supercomputational power, it is in your pocket today. Previously, the data center size, it used to be big and huge and doing very minimal tasks. Maybe that was the demand or that was the time, that much computation, it was relevant. But as the time goes, the data center has become to the floor, the building become floor, and the floor become a room. And the room has become a cabinet. And not only the size, physical size, but also the volume, the velocity and the variety. We will talk about that particular components. Again, I will take some time on this particular. So when we are talking about the IT and business perspectives, we are only customer centric, value centric. And when you are talking about the customer centric and value centric, of course it has to be a process centric and it has to be an improvement centric. Those things are a subset. Again it depends on what is the perspective you are following, what is the methodology, what is an approach. So we are in a customer centric. We are talking about the consumerization of IT. What consumer wants, this is what IT has to deliver. It is not about me, what I think it is good because I have more than 2 decades of experience. It's not that way. What consumer wants, this is what we need to architect. And the SOA architecture, and if you follow the SOA principle, it will allow that kind of flexibility and feasibility. And that did not came up with the emerging technologies which we talk today. Service-oriented architecture. Service-oriented, it is fully complementing the process-oriented. So service is nothing but it's a process. A business has certain set of processes, and you use certain technologies and techniques, methodologies, and certain frameworks, and put those pieces together or patterns and elements together in order to deliver or serve a specific purpose. And this is so so IT has to become a value center. So IT think that we are a value center, we are not the cost center, we are not only the burden on you, but we are we are the drivers. As the last presentation you were saying, no need of IT, it is always about the process. It is always about the value. I agree with that. But instead of being offended, it is an opportunity for bringing those two silos together. If we cannot bring it together, at least we can try to seek an opportunity to reduce the gap. The gap is existing and it will exist, but the gap will reduce. And the technology today has empowered the IT pros to reduce that particular gap. As I said in my last previous session, that the IT expenses are mostly from the non-IT. It's being spent by the non-IT departments, because now unless you have an ability and capability, specialty, and so skill set required to understand what the business wants, what are the needs and what are the wants for the business, you will not be considered to be a good IT pro. So you have business understanding, it is the key for an IT to be successful. And that's the area of improvement, and that's what we are actually, because I am also a hardcore IT guy, so this is the area where I think we need to grow up. And we talk about IT as a service. IT as a service, we talk about the brokerage service, as you saw last time, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, then we talk about the software as a service, so desktop as a service, and there are so many things there. People nowadays, they are calling SaaS, anything as a service. And last year, I talked in one of the presentation, I talked time as a service. And I think in the previous session, he was talking about that particular aspect, because I am not so good in understanding Arabic to full extent. But I understand in bit and pieces. And I try to give a kind of approach or a new thought that the time as a service, as we see like in the, for example, we talk about the retail sector. Retail sector, it has certain set of processes, and then, or you talk about like Hajj season, we know that there are set of activities will be performed during a specific amount of time. So IT service providers, they have to come up, or the business provider, they have to come up with a specialty for that particular segment to provide what all it is required and then the charging will be based on the time. So you want to deliver this particular service for this particular time, whatever it is required. So if you see from the project management perspective, in project management, what you talk about you have a scope, and whatever it requires for you to deliver that particular scope using set of resources and as per the expectations, as per the time, then and of course the money, then whatever the resource is required, you can deliver. But from the other side, what the time is the most important and critical factor for us in the human life. So whatever it is required within the time from the resources perspective, so I am talking about swapping the approach. So that could be an approach also which could be possible, or possibly it could be implemented on the emerging technologies as well. So and provide a transparent IT ecosystem, because the business, they believe that still the IT, they take time, they never come back when we have been asking, and and they are not doing. Whereas the IT think that we now the server provisioning is just like a right click. You click, the server is ready. You click, you just enable the option, then that particular service could be given to you. So the service provisioning is there, which was lacking previously. And then we are talking about now today. Do you know that in today's world we have 250,000 technologies available in the world? So we are at the peak of the complexity of the technological evolution. Different technologies, so many open source technologies, so many other legacy technologies, proprietary types and all of that, so many protocols, so many platform, frameworks and so on. So we are at the peak of the complex situation. At the same time, we have the easiest, because as a human, as a customer, as a consumer, what you like? The simplicity. Maybe you are delivering good value, but it's not simple, it's very complex. So that will not help. And I remember when Microsoft, they came up with the Microsoft Outlook, that if you remember the navigation on the left side, there is on the right side they show that navigation they have adopted for so many applications, whether you talk about the Visual Studio and so on. So the simplicity of a platform, it is very important for the adoption of IT. And today the IT, it does provide the simplicity by inheriting the complexity at the background. When we talk about the cloud, it is not a simple structure. When we talk about the big data, there are so many attributes, elements, data types. There are different complexities involved. We are talking about different APIs. Each cloud provider has its own set of APIs. They have their own set of adapters. We need to understand. And if I develop a cloud-ready solution for the Amazon as an example, the same concept, the same interface, the same rapid application development environment may not be used with the other cloud vendor. So that democratization of the platform, democratization of integration, it has to happen still. A common framework, it needs to be evolved. However, there is a lot of work is being done, and there are a lot of communities, they are working, and CSA also, I think they are doing a great job by providing different frameworks and guidelines through their website. So that's what we need to really care. And what are the protocols, what are the languages, what are the frameworks, and what are the services, and what are the APIs. And no one talk about the semantic web, because the semantic web also, it is like an emerging since couple of years. Semantic web, it translates your English language to a relevant language to the business. It does embed all those protocols which is required. So semantic semantic web, REST and Ruby, there are so many open frameworks and platforms. It is giving us an opportunity as an IT pros where we can complement the business today. And data centers, I talked already on that particular aspect. And business partners, we think that we are business partners, we are enablers, transformers, and custodian and facilitator. This is what IT perspective. Whereas the business, they think they are cost centers, and basically what IT think. And it is not only about, because there are reasons which can be explained. There are reasons which we don't know. Okay, so we talk about the nexus of forces. So as you can see here, every budget is an IT budget nowadays. Every budget is an IT budget, and global trend. And this is the statistics from the Gartner. Global technology, 4 trillion mark it will reach by 2016. However, we don't have that kind of statistical information for our region. But there are informations which we used to extract during the conferences across the Middle East region. But what we understand that the government, they are focused and committed to allocate and make an investment. But allocation of investment or making an investment, it doesn't mean that whatever you propose, it will be approved. Yes, that could be the challenge, and this is what I understand. Because even getting proper funds for the new initiatives and the project rollouts, it is challenging in the government sector. But there are things which I was saying, fund is not the showstopper. There are plenty of homework need to be done, and that requires an alignment of your resources, that it requires a transformation of mindset, that requires a process optimization where you can see how you can deliver the value, and no one can say that you cannot be the only a person who can trigger a change, because the change is a shared responsibility. If I want something and if somebody doesn't want, that means at least I should not stop doing the good job which I am supposed to do. So those things you have to keep in mind while you are encountering the difficulties. From the project management perspective, actually I am more project management now. I am talking after the Six Sigma and business process side. From the project management perspective, every project, every endeavor has a constraint. There is nothing in life without the problems and constraints, and we are there because of the problems. We have our uniqueness because of the problems. Things. And then there is a 4.4 million jobs will be created on this particular specialty, and that's the good news for the IT pros, because IT think that we will be jobless and all of that. That was like one of the concerns. If you are moving the whole data center to the cloud or certain services which was collaborative or email services, what I am gonna do? But your responsibility is more on the business focus side. So that job is not gonna go anywhere, but you need to update the technological sets which you used to practice from the DOS age till today. So that thing you have to do it. And the job is there, and that is the good news. And the bad news is that for the business, that there are no talent available, or the talent which is available, which is not into the adequate quantity. And then we were talking about high performance computing, grid computing, or pay as you go. Because it was not possible before to have an exabyte of power. How many of you know what is what you call flop? IT guys, flop. Flop is nothing but it's a computational power. A computational power is measured in the flops. And even myself, as I was saying, I have more than 2 decades of experience. We started with exabyte. We started with a kilobyte, megabyte, and then gigabyte. Then recently we started since 5-6 years, like a terabyte. But we never know that there is a exabyte, there is zettabyte, there is yottabyte, there is a gruntobyte, there is geobyte also. Why we are saying all of this? Because the data is there. Each object which you see today in the universe, all they are data objects. We think that the only computational objects are the data objects. Non-computational objects, which is like chair, like all those objects, it has certain data. It has certain value. When I am looking into that glass, I have the feeling that, oh, this glass is very nice, and it provides me a kind of satisfaction. It gives me a kind of what you can say, and I will be attracted. So all those objects are emitting certain data. So the data is growing, the data is bulging. Last year, according to the statistical information, in the last 2 years, the data was doubled. The whole data, the global data. And I was saying, between 10 to 15% is only the structured data. Otherwise, from 80 to 90%, it is either unstructured data or semi-structured data. Structured and semi-structured structured data, it is the data which is already stored in your database servers, where you can bring some kind of BI reporting, where you can deliver the value and you can analyze the information to deliver certain services. So time to market. So time constraints has been also through the Hadoop and all those new technologies. It provides that kind of computational power. You don't need to have a central computing, because pulling the data from the different regions itself is a big constraint. It requires a lot of bandwidth. It requires the stability of the bandwidth, the connectivity and so on. So you can have a centralized and distributed, like hub and spoke topological solution you can have. So whatever the data is relevant to that particular region, that will be computed at that particular site, and the final value will be given to the central server. So whenever you analyze, you actually get all the information, all the analytical data from the different regions at your site, at your central site, and at any site, as long as you have an authority. When we talk about authority, it is about the role. It is not about the, so role should have the privilege. So the notion of IT ecosystem has become very flexible and it has become more structured. And I think this is according to the Gartner. This is the complete list I just copied and pasted over here. This is what? The top 10 strategic technological trends. The mobile device battles, irrespective, whatever you have the smartphone, all those devices, they have provided an accessibility and connectivity to the cloud and big data and the transmission of data and all of that which we are talking today. I was saying that when I reached to the airport is just an example. As soon as I switch on the mobile, based on, because the location service is enabled, which was never been the case before, the advertisers, they can do the targeted advertisement, whether you talk about the STC. Now STC, they know that I reach to this particular location. Now it will try to, in the background, it will try to see who are my partners, and it does provide me, this is the rate, is available. That thing was not available before. Although we are saying it's not the cloud, but those kind of evolution is happening. The kind of readiness is happening. So location-based marketing or location-based service provisioning is happening. And that we need to think. And then, of course, the HTML5 also, it has emerged like one of the favorite technology, where you can develop any kind of application for any platform. So still it is based on the device. It will try to adjust itself and it will try to simulate and provide you a native environment which will be easy. Whereas we used to see for the BlackBerry you click here, for the Nokia you click here, and those kind of things are not there. You just go to the main site and it will try to provide you that kind of flexibility. And personal clouds, everybody, you are connected with the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. So everybody is connected to a cloud. And whenever I am saying cloud, cloud is not just the data center, it is about the unification of different services, it is about integration of different services, it is about providing the self-service provisioning to your citizens. So this is a holistic approach. It is not just about one component, it is the whole thing. And then Internet of Things. So Internet of Things, last year again Cisco came up, it says that 50 billion devices are connected or will be connected by 2015. So that's the Internet of Things. Every device, according to their statistics, I think every individual have more than 2 devices. I don't know how much it is realistic, but this is what they were talking about. And in some or other way, it is true, I believe. Because when we think about the computational device, we think it is only the mobile phones, tablets, desktops, PCs, or your PlayStation, or your Xbox, or your TV. My friend, we are talking about different, more things. Embedded devices. Did we care how many embedded devices we have? Embedded devices are nothing but those are the devices which is part of that electronic system which have those subroutines, certain programs which will recall itself. And those devices, your car, all they are connected devices. So it is the holistic thing. And then we are talking about hybrid IT and cloud. We are living in a world of hybrid, heterogeneized environment. No solution will be given without having a heterogeneous environment. Microsoft, once I remember, they used to claim that they provide one-stop shop with all the infrastructure services, excluding the hardware part. But before 8 years, they came up with a called Microsoft Solutions, MCA, Microsoft Certified Architect. 8-9 years before, I was one of the first one was enrolled for that particular certification. And that certification, they have realized that Microsoft themselves cannot solve or give a solution to the business. It has to be maybe an Oracle from the SAP side. It is a combination approach. So heterogeneity has to be there while you are providing an IT solution. Don't get no, I don't have the latest servers which is required. Otherwise, I think I cannot. No, it's not like that. So an understanding with the clarity, with the relevancy is required of your own environment, and then mapping that to the so the role itself is transforming. We are talking about he is a chief innovation officer. CIO is not chief information. He is a chief innovation officer. He is a chief transformation officer. He is a chief cost cutting officer also with the emerging technologies. There is cost cutting is also there, but cost is not should not be the driving factor. When you are doing the right thing at the right time, at the right place, by using the right methodology, adopting the right process optimization, of course, you will get the value. It is not because of that emerging technology, it is about doing the right thing. Okay, I'll skip this one. Skip this also. This is what the 7 whys and all of that, actually it was there in my head also. So when you are talking about the cloud, you are talking about ABCD, I call ABCD. You have to anticipate what you want, for whom you want, and you have to see how you can accelerate, how you can map, how you can relate to your own initiatives, your own objectives, your own strategy, to your own operations, to achieve your excellence, those things. And all this is a customer challenge, it is a service challenge. So when you have that kind of clarity, what, when, where, how, then you can anticipate, you can accelerate, and you can provide a solution or a data in a format which can differentiate or which can deliver the value. So this is a very old slide. I think everybody has saw this one, volume, velocity, and variety. So when you talk about the volume, you are talking about the size. The data was there, and even there was a computational power. There is one report I remember with one of the client. We click today, and it used to take 3 days to compute and to provide the result. But because of the volume, the size, now the size is not only your. I'll talk in the other slide. Not only the data which is stored in your premises, there are other data is there. What the people they are talking about that particular service. Let's say I got a Sahar, I got some blinks, and then that gives a negative image to the resident. Come on, what kind of system they have implemented? It is not about when you are doing, whenever you do it, then only the blame will come. If you don't do it, the blame will not come. It doesn't mean that I will stop not doing things. So the size is very big constraint, and then speed, in what speed you will deliver the value is important, and what are the sources, from what resources you are taking and capturing the data, it is important. And then delivering the value on real-time basis, that is also important. So analyzing and asking a relevant question, it is important. Social media semantic analysis. We have to, when you are talking about especially the government sector, what people talking at the social media, what they are talking between their friends about particular service which is relevant to my product or my delivery of service. I have to know as a responsible person, because you are also one of the stakeholders that we need to undertake. And it's about the brand value, and it is about the fraud analysis. You can see how good you are, how you are trustworthy, how you are, what kind of recognition you have in the market. That is also important, because I know that if it is not HP or if it is not Sony Vaio, then I will not trust. If somebody bring you Pepsi without any brand, you will not drink. Even if you drink, you will not have the same kind of satisfaction, because you have certain kind of image. So brand value is very important. Operational technologies, sensor data and fraud analysis, people have been talking. I don't know how much it is relevant to us, but I can tell you from the location data, it is important. Location data relevant to the geographic, to the GPS. Nowadays the applications are GPS enabled. So it is not about having the username and password. It will not activate that particular service unless you reach to that particular coordinate or within the range of that coordinate. Then only you are authorized. So you can add actually another level of authentication. So the phase 1 is about the exploration and investigation. The phase 2 is about exploitation, investment and implementation. This is the two-phase approach which I recommend usually, which is very high level. And this one actually, this is the data they used to collect. Year 2013 is the year of big data, they called. Basically, a lot of initiatives has started in 2013 about the big data. So when we are talking about enterprise data warehouse, we think that enterprise data warehouse where I collect the data from different ERP systems, from different line of business applications, from the different locations, and I accumulate the data into my enterprise data warehouse through the different file systems. Where it is? Okay, here. Oracle, SAP, and so many things. We are bringing the data here. And then there is a public data which is coming from the social web, from the transactional logs, from the location services, and so on, which was never been considered as an important data. But basically this is like 80-20 rule. This is the 20% of the data which is missing, but actually it is the one which will give the 80% privilege and recognition and value. And then semantic web, where there is integration. The integration between the two different systems, and it provides an integration layer where you can ask a relevant question and the system will understand and will deliver the value, and there are technologies available for that. So I used to call this one as a service big data delivery model. You need to collect the data and you need to process the data and you have to manage the data and you have to measure. Because without measuring and monitoring, there is nothing complete. And I would like to tell you one thing, the strategies. Actually, I would like to catch up on point from the last presentation. From the strategical point of view, if you don't have the strategy documented, believe me, that's not any strategy. So documentation is very important. Irrespective of what you have in mind, it doesn't mean that you have the strategy. And the thing which surprises me, especially in our region, that we think that strategic document, it is a confidential document. It is not a confidential document. If you know that you have to run in that direction, how your military, how your soldiers will help you to achieve your goal, unless they are not aware in what direction you are going. At the end, as a driver, as a limousine, when you sit, you ask him, okay, go left, and then right, go left, right, and then he reach to a destination. He said, this is not the place where I want you. No, sir, this is what you are guiding. And I don't know what was your direction. And then we are talking about consumption of data. You have to consume the data. This is totally a business language, but this is more relevant to the data side. And then you have to store, like EMC and other IBM, and they are providing a lot of techniques where you can segregate and you can segment the data and all the metadata and the contents in a relevant manner where the data will be fetchable as and when it is required. There are techniques available. But that doesn't mean that you have to stop to buy or to procure the hardware or the solution which they are proposing. still you can do a lot of things. And then you are ready for the transformation. And then you corporatize this, that data belongs to your enterprise now. This is the cycle with regards to the data set. And then you collect. Again, so this is a governance and this is a never-ending cycle. The job is never being done. The job is in progress and it will stay in progress. Here, these are like 4 C's of big data. So we are talking about the collecting and storing the data, which is nothing but you are talking about capturing the data. Collecting and storing, and there are different techniques. What to collect and how to collect and when to collect, all those are the techniques you have to really take care. From what system, from different systems and so on. So we will talk about that. Organize, clean, enrich and aggregate. Believe me, a lot of data is there, but